We talked about the team element. Last year we saw late in the actual game some better play. I know people always looking for more. How excited are you about some of the buzz that's come from the guys even who have picked the teams, Adam, in terms of their excitement to get a chance to see what they've got against their opponent?
I thought it was great that you guys televised the draft. I think that created some excitement. There's been a lot of buzz around the teams, and I thought last year was actually a lot better. I think that they took it seriously. I mean, we're not looking for it to be a playoff game. We want guys to go out there and have fun. We don't want them to get hurt, but we want them to play with energy and make it competitive, and I expect the same thing this year.
You know, Adam, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on. And what is your biggest concern as far as small market teams are concerned?
Charles, I said this yesterday at my press conference. To me, increasingly, the measure isn't small versus big markets. It's not that I don't have concerns about opportunities to compete in this league. We have a big disparity in salaries among some teams, but doesn't all correlate to market size. For example, Oklahoma City has one of the largest payrolls in the league. Now, I'm sympathetic of course, there's a correlation with payroll and ability to compete, and I'm sympathetic when a market doesn't have the same opportunities to generate revenue and they have to pay the same as a much larger market. That's not a situation you necessarily want to see in the league. I think it's very fixable over time, but I think it's less a dynamic of how big is your market. You look at the success in Milwaukee, for example. Look at the success in Oklahoma City. And on the other hand, look at the three biggest markets, New York and LA and Chicago. None of those teams made the playoffs last year. Those top teams, Lakers, Knicks, and Bulls, haven't been good for 5 years. So what I don't hear around the league is guys saying, I can't wait to be a free agent so I can get to one of the big markets. They want to compete. They want to be in places they can compete. And to the extent the system doesn't completely allow, I call it sort of parity of opportunity. Yes. I mean, one quick point. If you look at the NFL, I think they should be credited. They have a terrific system. Everybody accepts that if you're in Green Bay or that you're in New York, you have the opportunity to compete. Yet in their system, the Patriots have been in 9 of the 18 last Super Bowls. Nobody says their system is broken. I don't think anybody there is suggesting something's not working because a different team doesn't win the Super Bowl every year. I think people accept there that presumably the reason New England's so good, whether it's a little bit of luck, great players, great coaching, great management, all those things come together. So I don't necessarily think when people say the same team continues to be great, that on its face means it's broken. It may mean, though, that if you have a unique circumstance where a team, there's a spike in the cap and a great player like Kevin Durant can end up in Golden State, that's not how the system's supposed to work, and we need to fix it.
Adam, a question for me is, a lot of fans right now have the misunderstanding they hear now, gambling in the NBA. Can you clear up some of that for a lot of the fans who have misunderstandings?
I thought you might want to direct that at Charles.
TV, listen, I'm not going to speak for Commissioner. When there's sports involved, people are going to bet on them. It's that simple. Listen, I look at the gambling thing like I do the marijuana thing. I want to make clear I'm not a pot guy, but they've legalized pot. I don't think everybody's going to go out and smoke pot. Now they got legalized gambling. I don't think everybody's going to go out and gamble. I'm not asking for him, but I use those correlations. Like now there's gambling's legal and pot's legal. People who smoke pot going to smoke pot. People who like to gamble, myself included, I'm going to gamble.
Can I say one thing, Charles? I was asking the commissioner.
That was my fault.
That was his question, but I just
take responsibility.
Adam, I just want you to know I was asking the commissioner.
I'm just letting you know, I'm talking about the job I'm going to have in the future.
So the issue is, as Charles pointed out, Supreme Court had a decision, 6 months ago or so, and said it was a matter for the states, not for federal legislation at this time. Since then, 7 or 8 states have legalized sports betting, and 35 other states are considering in some form right now. And of course, it's been legal in Nevada for 70 years. And to Charles's point, and maybe there is an analogy with marijuana, there's been an enormous amount of illegal sports betting that's taken place over the last several decades, to the point now that people estimate there's an illegal market in the hundreds of billions of dollars in the United States right now. My position, even before the Supreme Court ruled, was that we're better off with a regulated sports betting market rather than an illegal, opaque one where you can't monitor it in any way. I think so what's happening is positive. I agree with Charles that it doesn't necessarily mean that people who've never placed a sports bet are going to run out and start betting, but it does mean we have an obligation, and maybe in the same way of marijuana, to ensure that something that kids aren't doing, that it's appropriately regulated to the extent people have a problem with it, that you have ways of monitoring their activity and stepping in if necessary. And I think, we look in terms of integrity to do the same thing with sports betting. And I'll just add, terms of integrity, we have to make sure from a league standpoint that while we have programs in place, as it becomes legal and we have access to more data, there's more that we can do to monitor irregular behavior. And there's all kinds of sophisticated algorithms, just like with insider trading, that if you see all of a sudden all kinds of strange bets coming in, you can look and see, especially in this day and age, it's not a cash transaction. People are doing it with credit cards. People are identifying themselves. You can see what's going on here. Why is all this money coming in on this team in this moment? And just like they do with insider trading, then the flags go up and you know whether you need to investigate.